Nigel Benn versus Chris Eubank Sr.
I personally do hate him.
was one of the fiercest and most competitive rivalries in British boxing history. The build-up in their first fight was electric and is still regarded as one of the most anticipated matchups the UK has ever seen. Two massive egos, two vastly different warrior spirits. Nigel Benn was raw aggression, an emotional wrecking machine inside the ring. In contrast, Eubank was uniquely eloquent.
Sure.
I don't hate the man, I just want his WBO title.
A calculated, almost theatrical character, but with a ruthless edge when the bell rang. Both fighters started their careers at middleweight, but it was Benn who quickly became the bigger star. He tore through the division, racking up 22 consecutive knockouts, earning him the suitable nickname, the Dark Destroyer. His first real test though came against Michael Watson, another tough, composed opponent who absorbed everything Benn had to offer in that fight, handing him his first professional defeat. Rather than dwelling on the loss, Benn sought reinvention. He rebuilt himself in America, capturing the middleweight title by defeating Doug DeWitt and then making a thunderous statement in his first defense, demolishing former champion Iran Barkley. Meanwhile, quietly emerging from the shadows was the enigmatic Chris Eubank, a monocle-wearing aristocratic speaker whose mannerisms seemed completely at odds with the brutal nature of prize fighting.
Let's have some parliamentary procedure here, alright?
Oh, God.
He wasn't just talk though. Eubank had been steadily building his reputation in small halls across the UK, picking up some solid wins at world level, believing he was the perfect challenger for Benn's world title. The fight before Benn came his chilling one-punch knockout over Dos Santos. If there were any doubts about things like his power, they disappeared that night.
I'd like you to know, Nigel, that I can punch as hard as you. Only I am more controlled. My strength, my velocity in punching is much more controlled than you are. This is why I shall take you out on the night of the 18th of November. You are mine, you belong to me. I am the man.
Just like Benn, Eubank had proved he was a dangerous fighter, and the collision course was set. Their contract signing, broadcast live on television, remains one of the most legendary moments in British boxing promotion. The tension, the mind games, it was everything fight fans could ask for.
And we're going to find out on the night just who's fooling who. In regards to Chris saying that boxing is a mugs game, we've got something to show you. It's a piece of our own artwork. Perhaps you'd like to home in on that. It's a mugs game. And I'd say this, a Shakespearean quote for you young man to learn. How much sharper than the serpent's tooth it is to have a thankless child.
Let's have some parliamentary procedure here, all right?
Oh, God.
Well, you know, and I am determined to go out there firing on all cylinders.
All right, gentlemen, you both signed the contract.
I personally do hate him. I personally do hate him.
So is there any point in me asking you to shake hands after signing the contract?
No.
Well, gentlemen, all four of you, thanks for joining.
The talking was now done. Now, two of Britain's best middleweights, arguably in their physical peaks, were set to collide in a fight billed as who's fooling who. The mind games continued, even on fight night. Benn's entourage attempted to rattle Eubank by sabotaging his ring entrance music as he made his way out to Tina Turner's Simply the Best. Music abruptly cut off, but Eubank didn't flinch. He carried on, vaulting over the ropes with his signature flair. His ego, as grand as ever, fully intact. Their final stare down before the battle was just as intense as expected. As they touched gloves, Benn slammed his fist down on Eubanks, a final act of defiance before the war.
And so is Michael Nunn, the world IBF middleweight.
Right from the start, we saw the typical aggressive and fast-paced approach from Nigel Benn as he took the centre of the ring, looking to push Eubank towards the ropes and corners. However, Eubank responded by throwing back whenever he found himself in these positions. Benn landed a clean right over Eubank's low L-guard stance, delivering the first significant punch of the night, which Eubank took well. This was the shot Benn had been looking for as he slid into range before unleashing it. Eubank's strategy appeared to be centered around moving to his left, attempting to attack Benn before he could set his feet and pick his shots, particularly his right hand.
Benn not quite as cavalier as we've seen him. He looks as though he's trying to pick shots, so we can't fault him for that.
However, through the round, it was Eubank who landed the better counters, particularly his own right hand over Benn's low lead hand coming into range. And by the end of the round, it was Eubank who looked the more comfortable of the two.
Well, we've never...
the start of the round, Eubank was more willing to plant his feet and clinch with Ben, committing to his attacks. However, as Eubank circled using his jab, Ben slipped it and countered him with a perfect right hand. Not just 30 seconds later, Ben landed the same shot again. There was no question Eubank needed to vary his movement instead of constantly moving left. He had to stand his ground more, and continually pulling away from the punches also left him open to Ben's powerful overhand right hand. Despite this, Eubank's movement, though unorthodox, made Ben hesitant to fully close the range, even though he was landing the right hands.
Now he's doing his slow motion act, Eubank. It's incredible. He stands like a posing statue, and then he'll walk around and do a sort of Napoleonic strut.
Eubank occasionally stood his ground in his Elgart stance, looking to roll and pull from punches to counter. However, Ben's speed and looping trajectory allowed him to land between Eubank's defensive movements, exploiting the gaps in his guard. Chris, though, absorbed the shot that would have put most other fighters down. In the final 30 seconds, just as Ben seemed to gain momentum though, Eubank took advantage of his aggression. As Ben lunged forward with his jab, Eubank countered him with a massive left, followed by a right, hurting Ben for the first time and immediately going on the attack. Ben's legs were unsteady, but his bobbing and weaving on the ropes, along with the limited time left in the round, allowed him to not take any further damage. Ben started aggressively, aiming to correct the previous round's mistakes by throwing combinations to the head and body. He also used more feints and constantly changed his guard as he came in. And the fact he was letting his hands go, Ben was now breaking through Eubank's guard and landing his jab more effectively.
He should have a tighter defence. He's swaying away from punches, but he's taking a full-blooded jab. That's the second he's took in the last couple of seconds.
Eubank though did try to trade in the pocket, landing uppercuts as Ben came in, but Ben was effectively landing the looping right hands, knowing that Eubank would keep his lead hand low and simply wasn't pulling away fast enough from those close range shots. Ben's Joe Frazier-like weaving troubled the more upright Eubank as he threw left hooks from unexpected angles.
That's when he's so dangerous, when he bends in front of you.
A slower paced round saw Ben reduce his output slightly. However, he got caught by a big right hand when he lazily brought his jab back to a low position, allowing Eubank to capitalise.
Yeah, it has.
Clearly hurt, Ben had no choice but to retreat to the ropes. By the mid-round, Ben had recovered and landed a big uppercut on the inside before beating Eubank to the punch with a right hand, followed by a left hook to the liver that sent Eubank stumbling to the ropes. At this point, Ben may have just discovered a chink in the armour and would start targeting the body further throughout the rounds. Eubank visibly hurt, lowering his guard to protect his body, allowing Ben to aim for the overhand right. And despite Ben bouncing back, the swelling from his eye was worsening.
The big mouse coming up in Ben's left eye. The soft tissue under the eye is really swelled up.
As the fight approached the halfway mark, Ben had much more urgency, likely due to the damaged eye. With Eubank planting his feet more as well, Ben found opportunities to land his single power shots.
Make the other fellow miss and pin him with counters, discourage him that little bit.
Eubank, however, cleverly targeted both the head and body, making Ben hesitant to fully commit. And there was just no denying that he just looked the more comfortable in the centre of the ring, not rushing his work, but instead picking his shots and countering the wounded Ben.
Now, Eubank not being backed up quite so much, Reg. I think he's grown in confidence that little bit. This is where he doesn't want to become arrogant.
To do the odds, for the throwback to bare knuckle days, boxing skill.
Ben getting caught a little bit more often as he comes in. That could be down to the pace and down to the fact that his left eye is so badly swollen.
As we entered the halfway point, Ben seemed urgent, but the swelling from the eye was clearly having an effect on his timing and vision, as Eubank was able to catch him easily. Chris would stand in front of Ben, forcing him to commit to his punches so he could counter him.
He's really doing his punch picking now. He's posing in his punch picking to Eubank. What confidence he's got.
Well, this is what Eubank is better at. He must have been fearing the first 4 rounds of this battle. He must be thinking, if I get past the first 4 or 5 rounds, then we come into my territory, and that might be the case. And I did notice there was a little kind of friendly pat from Ben at the end of the 5th round. So he certainly has respect for Eubank now if he didn't come into the ring with it.
But things took a twist as a frustrated Ben strayed low with a left hook.
Punch, actually.
Yeah.
What actually happened here?
That was centre wicket. That's certain different things like that happen in boxing, you know, when you go, that's centre wicket.
Immediately though, Ben would quickly return to body shots, landing a strong shovel hook that made Eubank wince.
Now that was a good body punch, Jim.
Nothing wrong with that one, Reg. That was on target. I think
Motivating Ben to push past the pain. Round 7. Ben's timing issues due to his vision made his strategy clear. Target Eubank's body and get on the inside. For Eubank, it was to remain patient, picking his shots and waiting for Ben to lunge or impatiently follow him. This jab-cross combination rocked Ben, forcing him back towards the ropes again, while Nigel himself was inviting Eubank to fight in the trenches, as Ben remained dangerous when hurt, often finding the motivation to fight back.
He's got the man in trouble.
this is where Eubank must be careful.
He's saying, okay, come on, now they're really...
And the ebb and flow of the fight helped to push Eubank back again. However, another shot to the belt line made Eubank feel it, and these shots were clearly taking their toll. A slower paced round saw both men trying to bait and encourage each other into attacking first, and both were clearly feeling the pace and pain of the fight. But as Eubank glided to his left towards the corner, it was Ben who landed the overhand right that had been connecting all night, slipping it over the top of Eubank's L-guard. However, Chris's back leg slipped just as he landed the punch, making it an unfortunate moment for him, but still the shot connected cleanly.
Master of the noble art. Oh, what? Almost came out on our lap throw.
There was a strange ebb and flow to this round. Just when it seemed like Ben was about to seize control, he would step back, allowing Eubank to reclaim the centre of the ring. He even started talking to Eubank, trying to bait him forward. Eubank remained poised on his front foot, while Ben feinted before unleashing the right hand, still landing as effectively as he was in the earlier stages. Ben came out the stronger of the two, pushing the pace and continuing to look for the right hand. He even hurt Eubank with a body shot on the inside at one point.
There's a bit of a moaner.
And at this stage it looked like Ben was taking the initiative, pressing forward and forcing the action. But as we know about Eubank at this point, he remained dangerously awkward, always a threat when an opportunity presented itself. In the final 30 seconds, he seized the moment.
I think he was falling for that.
That was Ben.
Oh, what a shot that
Shot
is.
really shook him.
Opened him up with the left hand and then shot the right hand over and it connected. There's the countdown. If he did go down, the count would continue.
Ben's shaking, Reg.
Oh, right to his boots, Jim.
Ben is shaking. The eyes watch, Reg. This will be the finish of the belt.
And it's all over in the 9th round. And would you believe in Ben's corner, they looked as though they were objecting to that for a minute.
Just as he had done in the 7th round, Eubank set up the decisive shot by jabbing down the middle of Ben's guard as he followed him before looping the right hand around it. Ben's legs were completely gone as he tried to cover up. As the referee separated them, Eubank capitalised on a huge straight right, sending Ben into the corner. With Ben unable to defend himself, the referee had no choice but to step in and stop the fight. The swelling around Ben's eye undoubtedly affected his performance, but Eubank had his own hidden struggle in the fight. He'd actually bit through his tongue after Ben's devastating uppercut in the 4th round, forcing him to continually swallow blood for the rest of the fight. And fearing a doctor's stoppage, he actually kept this a secret from his corner, which definitely adds another layer of grit to his performance. Despite the heated build-up, Eubank was gracious in victory, praising Ben's toughness in the post-fight interview.
An emotional Chris Eubank.
He extended me like I've never known one could be extended. He's definitely, the man is just an animal. I mean, his strength is he's not an animal. You come over to me, you shake hands, and he's an unbelievable puncher. And I said I wouldn't embrace him or anything, but you see, he's won my respect. You see, because he hurt me up the guts. He opened my tongue. My tongue's open.
Ben, though, bitterly disappointed, acknowledged Eubank's performance in return.
But not taking nothing away from Eubank. What a tremendous fighter he is. He deserves it, man. He deserves it.
Tactically, Ben's best moments came when he was able to set up that right hand, while also targeting the body. However, as fatigue in the eye set in, and he went on the back foot trying to lure Eubank in rather than force exchanges, It played right into Eubank's counter-punching strengths, allowing him to control the centre of the ring, set traps, and pick his moments to counter. And his patience clearly paid off in the 9th round, when he capitalised on Benn following him in, landing that decisive right hand that forced the stoppage. 3 years later, they would meet again for the unified super middleweight titles. However, this would end up in a draw. But in my opinion, their first encounter remained the rawest and brutal of the two, as these two warriors left everything in the ring for championship glory. And of course, their massive egos. This has been Jamie from Boxing Life. I'd love to hear your thought on this fight. Do you think if both didn't sustain the injuries, it could have turned out differently? I'd love to know. If you enjoyed this, why not check out one of these classic fight breakdowns? As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.